Some behaviors seem small at first. A rude comment, a little disrespect, someone crossing a line and then laughing it off like it's nothing, and most of the time, people ignore it. They stay quiet, hoping it won't happen again. But here's the truth. The moment you tolerate disrespect, you silently teach people that it's acceptable. And once someone believes they can treat you that way, it rarely stops. It usually gets worse. The reality is, the way people treat you often depends on what you allow. Not because you deserve it, but because humans naturally test boundaries. If they see no resistance, they assume the behavior is okay. Over time, that small moment of disrespect becomes a pattern, and before you realize it, the relationship becomes one-sided, exhausting, and sometimes even toxic. That's why learning what behaviors you should never tolerate is one of the most important skills you can develop. Because once you recognize these behaviors early, you stop a lot of problems before they even start. You protect your time, your energy, and your self-respect. So in this video, we're going to break down 5 behaviors you should never tolerate from anyone, whether it's friends, coworkers, family, or even people you just met. One of the most common forms of disrespect is when someone insults you but hides it behind humor. They make a rude comment, then immediately say something like, "Relax, it's just a joke." At first, it might seem harmless. Maybe you laugh it off because you don't want to make things awkward, but over time, the pattern becomes clear. These jokes always seem to target you, your personality, your choices, your mistakes. And every time you react, they try to make you feel like you're the problem for taking it seriously. But real humor doesn't constantly put someone down. When someone repeatedly disguises disrespect as humor, what they're really doing is testing how much they can get away with. And if you keep tolerating it, the behavior becomes normal to them. They assume you're okay with it. That's why it's important to address it early, not aggressively, but clearly. Because respect starts with the boundaries you're willing to set. Another behavior you should never tolerate is when someone only talks to you when they want something. They disappear for long periods of time. No messages, no conversations, no effort to stay connected. But the moment they need help, suddenly they remember you exist. They reach out like nothing happened. Friendly, polite, sometimes even overly nice. And before you know it, they're asking for a favor. Your time, your help, your attention. And once they get what they need, they disappear again. Relationships should never feel like transactions. If someone only values you when you're useful to them, that's not a real connection, it's convenience. And the more you allow that pattern, the more it continues. Everyone has boundaries, whether they realize it or not. Personal limits that protect their comfort, their time, and their emotional well-being. But some people repeatedly ignore those boundaries. Maybe you say you're busy, but they keep pushing you to do something. Maybe you've expressed that something bothers you, but they continue doing it anyway. Or maybe they pressure you into situations you clearly don't want to be in. At first, it might seem small, but repeated boundary violations send a message that your comfort doesn't matter. And when someone consistently ignores your limits, it shows a lack of respect for you as a person. Another behavior you should never tolerate is when someone refuses to take responsibility for their actions. No matter what happens, it's always someone else's fault. They blame circumstances, they blame other people. Sometimes they even blame you. If you try to address a problem, they become defensive. They twist the situation or change the subject. Instead of acknowledging the issue, they focus on avoiding accountability. And over time, this becomes exhausting, because you end up constantly trying to fix problems that were never yours to begin with. Healthy relationships require accountability. Without it, the same issues repeat over and over again. The final behavior you should never tolerate is when someone constantly makes you feel inferior. They belittle your ideas, they dismiss your opinions, they act like your achievements don't matter. Sometimes it's subtle, a sarcastic comment, a dismissive reaction. Other times it's obvious. They openly criticize or compare you to others in a negative way. But the effect is the same. Over time, it chips away at your confidence. And when someone repeatedly makes you feel smaller, it's usually because they feel threatened or insecure themselves. So take a moment and think about the people around you. Not everyone in your life deserves the same level of access to your time and energy. And sometimes the hardest part isn't recognizing toxic behavior. It's accepting that someone you trusted might be showing it. The truth is, tolerating these behaviors doesn't keep the peace. It slowly damages your self-respect, because every time you ignore a boundary being crossed, a part of you starts believing you don't deserve better. But the moment you stop tolerating disrespect, something interesting happens. Some people will adjust their behavior, they'll respect the boundaries you set, but others won't. And when that happens, it reveals something important. It shows you who actually values you and who only valued the access they had to you. Setting boundaries doesn't make you difficult, it doesn't make you rude. It simply means you respect yourself enough to expect better treatment from the people around you. Because the people who truly respect you won't be offended by your boundaries. They'll understand them.